The rain had been falling for 3 days, straight when Daniel Carter finally allowed himself to cry. He sat at the kitchen table long after his 2 children, Emma and Jake, had gone to sleep, staring at a pile of overdue bills that seemed to grow taller every morning. The electricity notice was read. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please stay with us and watch this story till the end. If there is any mistake or shortcoming in our story, please kindly forgive us and support us with your love, patience and encouragement. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories, and tell us in the comments where in the world you are watching from. Your support means everything to us. The rent was 2 months behind. His refrigerator held half a carton of eggs, a block of cheese, and a nearly empty bottle of ketchup. He was 34 years old, and he felt like a man drowning in slow motion, watching the surface get farther away with every passing hour. 3 years ago, his wife, Sarah, had lost her battle with cancer. She had gone quietly, the way she had always lived. Without making a fuss, without asking for anything, she left behind 2 beautiful children and a husband who had no idea how to hold the world together without her. Daniel had tried everything. He worked double shifts at the warehouse during the week and drove rideshare on weekends. He packed school lunches the night before, helped with homework until midnight, and showed up to every parent-teacher meeting with tired eyes and a genuine smile. He never complained. He never asked anyone for help. He simply carried it, the way fathers do, silently and without credit. That particular Tuesday evening, just as he was folding the bills back into their envelopes with trembling hands, there was a knock at the door. It was sharp, confident, nothing like the uncertain tapping of a neighbor borrowing sugar. Daniel opened the door to find a man he did not immediately recognize. The stranger was tall, impeccably dressed in a dark wool coat, and holding a black umbrella that shielded him from the downpour. He looked like he had stepped out of a world Daniel had never been allowed to enter.
"Are you Daniel Carter?"
the man asked. Daniel nodded slowly. "I'm Marcus Webb," the man said, "and I believe it's time for you to repay what you owe me." Daniel felt his heart drop. He could not think of any loan, any transaction, any debt connected to a man of this obvious wealth. He opened his mouth to speak, but Marcus Webb held up a hand and smiled, just slightly. "May I come in?" he asked. They sat across from each other at the same kitchen table where Daniel had just been crying. Marcus looked around the small apartment without judgment, his eyes moving carefully over the children's drawings taped to the refrigerator, the stack of library books on the counter, the single photograph of Sarah on the windowsill. 14 years ago, Marcus began, I was a 22-year-old kid who had just driven 6 hours to a job interview in the city. My car broke down on Route 9, about 40 miles outside of town. It was pouring rain, just like tonight. I had no money for a tow, my phone had died, and I was sitting on the hood of my car, convinced that my entire future had just collapsed. Daniel stared at him, a distant memory beginning to flicker. A young man pulled over, Marcus continued. He couldn't have been older than 20 himself. He helped me push the car to the shoulder, gave me his phone charger, waited with me for over an hour in the rain, and then drove me 40 miles out of his way to make sure I made it to that interview on time. Daniel remembered. Of course he remembered. He had thought about that young man sometimes over the years, wondered whatever became of him. You got the job, Daniel said quietly. Marcus Webb nodded. I got the job. That interview was with a small tech startup. I stayed for 11 years. Eventually I bought the company. We went public 4 years ago. He paused and looked directly at Daniel. That company is now worth $3.2 billion. The silence in the apartment was complete. Outside, the rain continued to fall. I have been looking for you for 2 years, Marcus said. I hired a firm to find you after. I saw a news article about a warehouse worker who received a community service award for volunteering at a children's grief center on his days off. He reached into his coat and placed a folded envelope on the table. This is not charity, Marcus said firmly. This is a debt. You gave me the chance to become who I am. I am simply returning the favor with interest. Daniel opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a check and a letter. The check was enough to pay off every bill, cover a year of rent, and place both children in the private school 3 blocks away that Daniel had walked past 100 times without ever daring to look up at. The letter offered him a management position at Web Technologies, with full benefits, a real salary, and the kind of future he had quietly stopped letting himself imagine. Tears ran down Daniel's face, and he did not try to stop them. "I just gave you a ride," he whispered. Marcus Webb stood up, buttoned his coat, and picked up his umbrella. "No," he said softly. "You gave me everything." He walked to the door, paused, and turned around one last time. "Tell your kids their dad is a good man." Then he was gone, back into the rain, leaving behind a silence that felt, for the first time in 3 years, like peace. If this story moved you, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel Kindness True Stories, where every story is a reminder that the good you put into the world always finds its way back to you.